This is gonna be tons of fun, bringing all your favorite Survivor content creators together to break down what they think is the most iconic moments of Survivor Season 44. Number 10, Russell Muscle TV. I'm gonna start this video out before handing it off to your favorite Survivor content creators, and I'm gonna start things off with a little bit of a hot take with the Last Gasp Individual Immunity Challenge. Now, I do need to say this challenge also made my list of most iconic moments of Survivor 43, and that's simply from the powerful feeling of nostalgia and it being so cool that this classic Survivor challenge is back. But with that said, I really hope we don't see this challenge every single season now, as it will lose the spark of what makes it feel so special. Going into Survivor 44, we decided to not include an advantage with the challenge like we saw for Survivor 43, which obviously is a bonus, less advantages the better, but we also actually had a winner in the challenge in Yam Yam, which makes the ending feel much better over the cop-out of Owen and Carla beating the challenge last season. And I mean, we can't forget how the literal breath coach with Instagram username Breathe In With Danny will lose this challenge to a player I would never expect in Yam Yam.
Jam is one, individual immunity.
You won, Jam Jam! You won!
Let's make one thing clear before we keep going. I think there were tons of awesome moments with Survivor 44, and that 100% comes down to the top tier characters and character moments we got to watch play out this season. So crazy news and hot takes, multiple moments of Survivor 44 will not be making it on this list, such as the tribe swap taking place, the Survivor Sanctuary reward, the rice negotiation, Bruce's medical evacuation, and much more. So I encourage you to briefly think about your own top 10 most iconic moments of Survivor 44 and let me know at the end of the video how many of the content creators' favorite moments made it onto your list as well. Number 9, Once Upon an Island.
Survivor 44 is not rife with jaw-dropping moments like we saw in Survivor 43, but it does have one that made us all stand up and cheer when it took place. Let's set this up. Danny, Matt, and Franny are all on the Green Soka tribe. Matt and Franny almost immediately hit it off and fall in love. It's very sweet, but it is to the detriment of their own game, as others notice. On the other side of the coin, Danny, he isn't here for love. He sees the bird cage at their camp with a lock on it and knows that something good must be inside. So he goes full crazy, opens the cage, gets the idol, and plants a fake. Oh, and with that fake, he tricks Matt into acquiring it and thinking it is real. Sneaky, sneaky. So we cut to the merge, and ignoring the completely asinine twist that makes half of the merge tribe safe, Matt is blindsided with his fake idol in his pocket. Danny got him good. But the very next episode, the writing's on the wall. It was funny that Matt left, but Danny can't lose Franny too. She is his ally, but everyone is gunning for her. So at Tribal Council, as Matt and Franny make googly eyes at each other, they all go to vote, and
If anybody has an advantage or an idol and you want to play it, now would be the time to do so.
I got something for you, Jeff. The place for Franny.
Okay? First vote. Franny does not count. 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 Brandon. Ninth person voted out and the second member of our jury, Brandon.
Brandon, tribe has spoken.
Russell Muscle, thank you for including me in this video. Check me out over at Once Upon an Island.
Number 8, Idled Out.
Hey, Idled Out here. I just want to say that for me, the most iconic moment of Survivor 44 was the Tika 3's Divide and Conquer game. You can call me crazy, but they really do feel like a new Foa 4 or Jollipow 3, and I think it's entirely possible that our little dysfunctional family of Yam Yam, Carolyn, and Carson will achieve the iconic status those other alliances have. I mean, it's already happening. Their merge strategy was downright brilliant in my opinion, pitting Soka and Ratu against each other, then playing right down the middle, often splitting up their voting to hide their unity. To the outsiders, the Tika 3 just looked like a trio of dysfunctional goofballs. 3 people who kinda had no business being at the merge in the first place, an alliance that couldn't even vote together. Brilliant. While Carson deserves a lot of the strategic credit for how they operated and voted, I think it's Yam Yam and Carolyn who really sold their dysfunctional family image, which is what allowed them to stay so underestimated for so long. The dysfunction seemed real because Well, because it was. But it worked. Almost every vote post-merge, the other two tribes had the opportunity to take out a Tika, and they just didn't. They kept not doing it. The Franny vote, the Danny vote, the Jamie vote. I mean, I was happy they weren't going for a Tika, but why weren't they going for a Tika? At the end of the day, what makes their divide and conquer gameplay iconic to me is both the smart strategy of it all, but also the lovable players who pulled it off. It was just really great to see three super rootable underdogs who were supportive of and sincerely championed one another make it to the end game together by exploiting the preconceived notions the other players had about them. It's a season-defining alliance. Iconic.
Number 7, Rachel from the Survivor Scholars.
What's up? Hey, hello everyone. It is Rachel here from Survivor Scholars. Though I am not a fan of production providing fake idols to castaways, I think players should be left to play the game and they can make their own fake idols with resources. Seeing the creativity with the fake birdcage idols has been fascinating this season. Danny eating the fake idol clue is definitely one way to get rid of the evidence. Danny hiding the fake birdcage idol and knowing that Matt found it is a good strategy compared to Carolyn doing something similar with the X marks the spot, but she did not know that Sarah found the fake idol. I am sort of bummed that we didn't get to see anyone try to play their fake idol this season. In future seasons, I'm excited to see how the fake idol strategy evolves with more castaways making their own fake idols rather than production supplying them.
Number 6, Alyssa from the Survivor Scholars.
What's up? Hey, hello everyone. This is Alyssa from Survivor Scholars. My favorite moment of Survivor Season 44 was when Carolyn found the Tika birdcage idol. Carolyn was just so chaotic with her finding the idol. Everyone was about to walk in on her taking the idol out of the birdcage. She forgot to close the birdcage. It was a whole mess, and everyone obviously knew that someone had taken the idol, but no one suspected Carolyn. And I just feel like Carolyn's personality is the kind of personality you wouldn't expect to be a great liar, and then she just totally fooled everyone. She caused some accidental distrust amongst the rest of her tribe mates, and it was just such a fun moment. I love every moment where Carolyn is narrating the season because she just has such a fun personality, and it was great to see this kind of strategic element play out for her as well.
Number 5, the Nullified Take.
Thank you, Russell Muscle TV, for extending an invitation for me to return to the channel. Survivor 44 has undeniably been Carolyn's season, making it even more fitting that my favourite moment revolves around her. I have often found myself intrigued by players who defy my initial judgment, and Carolyn certainly falls into that category. However, I wasn't alone in underestimating her abilities. Many of her tribe mates wrote her off as merely an emotional player, disregarding her potential to make strategic moves within the game. From the outset, Carolyn proved her capability to navigate social dynamics and make calculated decisions. Yet, my ultimate highlight was her masterful idol play on Carson. Over numerous seasons, I have grown frustrated by how easily players disclose the secret of their idols, allowing others to nullify their power through effective counter strategies. However, Carolyn discovered the idol early on, guarding its secret until the last possible moment. This tactical move granted her the freedom to choose precisely when to deploy the idol without drawing unnecessary attention or targeting. I can vividly recall myself at home pumping my fist passionately and urging Carolyn to play the idol when she correctly deduced that Danny was targeting Carson and deceiving her. Please consider subscribing to our channel, The Nullified Take, here on YouTube, where we're on a mission to reach 2,000 subscribers.
Number 4, Flynn Masters.
The next iconic moment from Survivor 44 comes from the premiere, as we saw arguably the greatest first tribal council in Survivor history. After Rachi lost immunity, Jamie seemed like the easy target. However, knowing this, she made it absolutely clear she was paranoid and was going to play her shot in the dark. So with the clear target potentially off the table, Maddie decided to make a big move and take out Brandon, who was a big threat, had an idol, and couldn't trust him after the two got into an argument over the birdcage idol. She campaigned her plan to everyone, and while Kane was on board, Lauren wanted her extra vote for the long game, and thus decided to protect her vote. Jamie obviously couldn't vote due to her shot in the dark, and Matthew, who was in the middle, decided to also play his shot in the dark instead of voting to avoid picking a side. This meant only Maddie, Kane, and Brandon were voting, and after all the craziness unfolded, and the fact that his idol is public, Brandon indeed played his idol, neglecting Kane and Maddie Maddie's votes, and thus Maddie became the first boot of Survivor 44 due to the sole vote of Brandon. Absolutely insane.
Number 3, Survivor Gumball.
I think my favorite moment from the season was when Matthew planted that fake idol for Jamie to find. Considering the last couple seasons we had these beware advantages that really limited the role that idols could play in the pre-merge, it was very refreshing just in general to see regular idols come back and to see players really get creative with them. And I think Matthews is definitely up there as one of the more creative ones, where he essentially makes his fake idol and plants it specifically to lure someone to find it and to build this game relationship with them. And I found it to be a pretty effective way of using that. He's able to build the relationship with Jamie that essentially hands in the majority on the Raw 2s if they were able to go back to Tribal. And I think what's even more impressive is how convincing this fake idol was, to where even deep in the game, when people were talking about Jamie having an idol, they never once questioned that it could be a fake idol. And it really wasn't until after the season that they were able to finally put the pieces together. It goes to show just how effective of a player Matthew was, and really how much of a travesty it was that he had to leave the game so early, as I feel like he definitely had a lot of creative ideas, not to mention his whole shot in the dark business at the first Tribal, and not to mention the fact that production tried to plant their own fake idol, thinking that they needed to do so in order to make the game more interesting. And sort of similar to Bruce, I really hope that Matthew gets a second chance down the road. Not only is he a great player with a lot of potential, but also a very entertaining player that's going to lead to a lot of discussions.
Number 2, Ethanamil.
Hey, what's going on? It's Ethanamil here, and in a strange pick to some, I'm going with the split Tribal vote off. We get to see this extremely interesting dual dynamic where both pairs of Franny and Matt, as well as Carolyn and Yam Yam, have to sit and watch in tears as they have no way of helping their other half out from the other side of Tribal. Watching the sadness from both Franny and Carolyn as Matt and Yam Yam receive votes is a bit heart-wrenching to watch, and then of course you get the final blow of Matt getting voted out and then him saying how proud he is of Franny for winning immunity, even though that was what ultimately caused him to be sent home. The context surrounding this whole episode is definitely a bit questionable, especially due to all the twists that occur, but when looking at this Tribal in a vacuum, it's a true Survivor tragedy.
Number 1, Russell Muscle TV. And I'm gonna finish this video off with a bang and talk about the amazing win of Yam Yam. I'm gonna be straight up and say I was in rough shape after watching Carolyn receive 0 votes at the final Tribal Council, but after having a chance to cool off, it's so refreshing to see a dominating winner in terms of the amount of screen time they received, especially for what we are used to seeing within the new era of Survivor. And you need to turn to players like Boston Rob, Tony, and Richard Hatch if you want to find Survivor winners that received more confessionals in the season they won. Make no mistake about it, this isn't the most iconic moment of Survivor 44, this is one of the most iconic moments in Survivor history. And if you want to see another iconic Survivor video, click right here for the rise and fall of Russell Hantz.